Hello. Wow, what a surprise. So I just finished a 15-minute chat, and I went back to my office to turn off the live stream, and it was already off, which makes me worry that it was never on. So, I've been sitting here having a conversation with myself, I think, but that's okay. That's the craziness of this time. We do need to talk to ourselves. So hello, I'm happy to be here with you. I had one dry run at this, and now it's 15 minutes later. I hope that you're okay. I hope that you're finding new ways to encounter this time of aloneness and this time of aloneness together. This confusing time as we wait and we listen. I was just looking at my text messages to see. A few years ago, when I was serving another church, one of the members of that church brought me a book that was the writings of a Christian mystic by the name of Julian of Norwich. It was written in the 15th century, or the 1500s, in the time of the Black Plague, and it was a time when in Norwich, 2 out of every 3 people died. The requirements to isolate, to self-quarantine, were everywhere. People were called upon to make huge sacrifices to live on their own. And Julian was one of those. She had gotten a little bit sick and then recovered and was determined. She wanted so much to live. She loved life. She loved God. She was given these visions during her time of isolation. She would pray earnestly, and she had these visions. And it was always a vision of the love of God. It was always a vision in the middle of her isolation of how much God loved the world, how much God loved her, how much God loved even the broken places of the world. Because there's always a temptation when things start to go bad, we start to think God's gotten angry and has brought this on us. But as Julian prayed, she saw deeper and deeper visions of the love of God, even for this broken world, even for us broken people. She meditated a lot on the suffering of Jesus on the cross. And there she saw a vision of love. That God refused to take up a position of the other, but took up a position of us, of oneness. As I was walking over here, my neighbor, who I really like them, they walk by, they're very active members of their Jewish synagogue, and we talk, usually more in the summer, of course, than in the winter, but they stayed 15 feet away, and we talked across the lawn of the church. We asked each other, how are you? How are you? And because they know I'm a pastor, they're always the God talk. It's always a question of, what are you telling people? And so they said to me, so do you think that God has brought this virus on the world? And I paused for a little bit, didn't say anything, and they said, trying to tell us something, trying to get a message across to us? I said immediately, no, I don't. I don't know what other people think, but that's, especially given what I've been reading and meditating on. When the coronavirus comes, when this virus moves into our lives, God is with us, with those hospital workers who are out there today, especially leaving at night, going in for the night shift to hold the hands of those who are sick, the old and young, who are worried that their lungs are no longer going to function. God is with us. Julian says she has this vision of the oneness of God with us facing life's challenges. What a beautiful vision. What a beautiful way to understand. Instead of putting God over there, checking our homework to see how we're doing. I did say I think maybe Mother Earth is trying to shake us up a little bit so that we can feel how connected we are to each other. How much the oceans and the air and the microorganisms, the biology of the earth, how much we depend upon it. And how much the interrelatedness of us on this globe is so much a part of our identity. I think maybe there's a message in there if you're inclined to think that way. But there is a vision here as well. A vision of the profound love of God. One of the components of it is that since this virus has knocked on our door, through pastor chats and through the conversations, the emails, the text messages, the telephone calls, my interaction with you, this community of people, is 10 times what it has been before. A huge thank you to our leaders in the congregation who are making phone calls. I can't call everybody. And so it's amazing. What they're doing is these folks have divided up this group and they're calling and they're saying, how are you? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Just wanted to call to say hello and let you know that I care about you, that the church cares about you. That Pastor Lou has asked me to do this, to extend the care of the church. And I'm getting back so much information from you about your lives, about your children that are home from college and where they are. And so much of life is unfolding right in front of me as a pastor. Can we keep doing this? I realize that being together sometimes I take advantage. I take it for granted that because I've seen you, because I shook your hand, passed the peace with you, that somehow we connected. I'm learning that this is a better way of connecting. Now I know partly it's because we're all in pause. Julian of Norwich was quarantined. She's to survive. And she wrote these mystic visions of the love of God, the love of Christ for us, loving every part of the creation. And then she wrote something like this, kind of have to translate it from, she talked about the lesson of doing nothing. It's the hardest lesson of all, that by our isolation from others, she writes in the 15th century, by our isolation from others, we bless the world. We bless the world. We show the world that we see our lives and their lives connected. And that we know that by working to protect ourselves, we're working to protect them, that it's one unified action of love. Of love. Empowered by God through Christ. Sometimes people tell me they have visions, and I always worry a little bit, but boy, her visions of the profound love of God, of God's belongingness to us, it's beautiful. Thank you to the callers who are doing their work. Thank you to you who are sharing your information, and thank you for loving the world by staying home. There's a song that we sing sometimes in worship, but always on the Mission Adventures domain. We talk about how our lives can be a sanctuary in which God dwells, and how we can provide sanctuary for others. We can provide safety. We can provide visible, physical reality of safety for other people by staying home. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure, holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. In these words, it's captured the vision of Julian of Norwich in the 1500s, a vision of God's being in us and in the world. Theological reflection sometimes gets the whole issue of God all mixed up. The Christian message we trace right back to Jesus is that if you want to know where God is, you want to know where God is during the global spread of this virus? God is there in those hospitals where there are no ventilators in Europe. God is in the hands of the caregivers. God is in the prayers and the compassion that are being shown. God is in the cup of water that they are given. God is no stranger to human suffering, and God is not indifferent to it. God is in the life of the worried senior citizen, beside you, in the phone call that comes. In pastoral care training, one of the lessons that came rushing back to me was, sometimes I would go, when I was doing my hospital internship, I would go into a hospital room. And there was someone who was critically ill. And the nurses are doing what the nurses are doing, and the doctors are doing what the doctors were doing. Everybody had something to do, except me. I was the chaplain intern. I felt like there's nothing I can do. I don't know medicine. I don't have a shot. I don't have anything to do anything for this person. And part of the training, the deep personal training of my life and my ministry at that time was, later on I learned, talking to the person if they recovered, or talking to the family if they didn't recover. What a powerful ministry of presence it is, sometimes, to do nothing. To do nothing. To pray. Maybe a telephone call. Powerful. Thank you for everything that you're doing to love the world on God's behalf. Washing your hands, staying home, learning how to do nothing, learning how to care for your kids while you're trying to teach school, learning how to do work and to connect with clients and remain connected. By isolating ourselves from others, we bless the world. Julian of Norwich, in the 1500s. May God bless you. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we're going to do an experiment with Zoom. Zoom is a multiple person kind of version of this. If you don't know what it is, try to download now the software on your computer. Go to Google and search Zoom and download the software on your computer or on your phone. If you have a camera on your phone or camera in your computer. If you don't want to do that, you can still join in the Bible study tomorrow. It's going to be beginning in the book of Job. And I'm going to do a live broadcast. It won't give you the ability to talk, but you can watch. And you can send messages, too. I'll have an instrument where you can ask questions, and then I can respond to them. You just type them into your computer. All these ways, we bless the world. We bless each other. Thank you to all of you for who you are and for being a part of this community. This is take 2. I hope this one was actually recording. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.